the last guy that I mentored on taking the exam, he followed that advice. He went in, he thought he was going to fail. He came out and he passed. Tomorrow I go in for the CCIE written exam for the collaboration track, and that's to recertify my current CCIE. And there's a few things that I do leading up to the exam that made me think, I should share this information. It might be beneficial to other people. One of the main things I do is I always take the exam at the same testing center, if possible. That way I know what the environment looks like. I know what the waiting room is like. I know what the individuals that work there are like. I know how to interact with them. I know what they expect of the candidates and what I should have ready when, because I know that they're going to ask for me to have, my pockets emptied, or they're going to ask for this particular ID or have me sit in a particular area where I fill out the paperwork or whatever it might be. I just like to have the familiarity of the site that I'll be testing at. Another thing I do is I go to the test center the day before the exam. I want to make sure that there aren't any road closures or some sort of construction work being done or some big changes to the parking lot or whatever it might be. I don't want to have any random surprises that could kind of throw me off my game. There's also a bunch of other miscellaneous things that I do to make sure that on game day, right, the day that I'm actually going to take the exam, I don't have to worry about as much. Like my outfit for tomorrow is already laid out. I made sure my car has a tank of gas. So I like to just make sure that things are in place and that I know the day is going to go off without a hitch. If you wear contacts like myself, you know that it can be a real pain in the neck if one of your contact lenses dries out or falls out or whatever it might be. So I make sure that I have a spare set of contacts with me when I go there. To me, that's all part of being ready for the exam, making sure that you don't have other things on your mind when you're going in for the exam. One thing I do that I think is huge is I put a notepad and a pen, maybe even 2 pens in case the pen fails, on the passenger seat in my car. That way, when I leave the exam room, I can quickly write down what areas that I struggle with or what things in the exam that the questions kind of just threw me for a loop, so that way I can get home and test it in the lab. I might actually change that strategy though this go around. Instead of having to write everything down, I might just use my phone to record everything. I think I can get through it a lot faster and spend less time focusing, on each thing that I want to write down. I can just ramble it off into my phone and write it down and make sense of it all later. With that said, I also go back to my notes from past attempts at whatever exam I'm taking, and I reference those as well. Of course, go in and take a look at the exam topics, which we can get right here. These are the written and practical exam topics right here. You just have to expand this. And some of the videos I've been doing lately actually kind of helped me refresh on some of this information, because we talk about things like troubleshooting SDP and media negotiation. Well, in my videos, I'm going through and taking a look at the logs, which maybe are more in line with knowing the protocols, because I go in and take a look to see, like, is there a SIP invite? Is there a 100 trying? You need to know the sequence of events. And actually, I'm going to be touching on the H323 signaling protocol here in a moment. But it's good to go through and take a look through this and read to see, what topics you think you are strong on and where you think you could increase your knowledge. And then in those areas that there's room for growth, like clear room for growth, go and try to read some of the Cisco documentation around that. One of the ways that I really like to study is going in the lab and, putting this stuff all together, getting packet captures, getting logs, going through it, being a little bit more hands-on with it. But I also like to do repetition, and I also like to be able to study. If I only have 5 minutes, I like to be able to get an effective way of studying for that 5 minutes. This brings me to my next topic. There is an application out there called Anki, and it's for note cards. You can have it on your computer. You can also get it on your phone. I like that because if I'm in line at the store or wherever, if I'm taking a short walk, I can pull it up on my phone and start going through these note cards. But these aren't just any ordinary note cards. I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. I have Anki installed on this machine, and I'll go ahead and set it up. I've downloaded it. I've not set it up just yet. So what you can do here is you can import note cards that you have, old decks or decks that people are sharing with you or whatever it might be. Or you can even go and get shared decks. So right here, let's say I wanted to study for the CCNA. Some folks already have decks out here. Let's just take a look at this one. You can look and it gives you a little bit of a preview. People are giving it good reviews so far, it looks like. So then you can go ahead and download it and install it. I'll show you my deck an older deck of mine that I have. So I'll go to File, Import, and I have it on the desktop. So here are my H323 signaling note cards. I only have 12 in there. And on this page, you can do create deck to make some new ones. You can sync it. If you're logged in, it'll sync up to a web account. So you kind of have a backup, and that's free. Then you can also have that pulled down to your phone. So your phone and your computer will remain in sync. But even all of this, everything I've said so far, isn't what makes this application cool. The cool thing about this application is that they've looked into how people memorize things, short term, long term, all of that. And there's algorithms built into this application to help you with making sure that you're actually learning this stuff and having it right there at your fingertips when you need to answer the questions. Also, if you're getting a question right, consistently getting a question right, that question will show to you less frequently. What this does is it allows you to clear out the information that you know pretty well and really only focus on studying the topics or the specifics that you still have room for growth. You still need to learn it a little bit better. You don't have the answers, like that. And I'll take a quick look at this deck here. So right now it's going to offer me 12 new cards. That's cool. I could go in and change that. Instead of saying I want to do new cards a day, I could say I only want 5 new cards a day. So now it's only going to give me 5 cards, and I'll do these 5 today. And then tomorrow I'll get 5 new cards plus whatever cards I need to do a refresher on. So we'll hit study now. And it says describe the 12 steps to H323 slow start call setup. And this is the written one because that means that this answer is how I have it written. So I would then, let me expand this. I would do show answer. And here are all of the different steps. And if I got that wrong, I'd say show it to me again in less than 1 minute. If I'm good on it, if I got the answer right, but I kind of struggled, it would show it to me in 10 minutes. Or if I got it right and it came right to me, I can say easy. I won't see it for 4 more days. Right? So that's what I was talking about. Getting the stuff that that it just comes to you easily, getting that out of your way so you can focus on the stuff that you're still kind of tripping over and having a little bit of a struggle, learning or memorizing or wrapping your head around. So we'll say easy. I'll see it in 4 days, and it'll say show it to me again in 1 minute if I get it wrong, or it'll say show it to me if it was good, it'll say show it to me in 2 days. Actually, it ends up starts to have 4 different options. Show it to me again in less than 1 minute. If it was hard, show it to me in 2 days. If it was good, show it to me in 4 days. If it's really easy, show it to me in 10 days. And it will start reaching the point where you only see these questions that are easy for you like once every month or couple months, right? So it actually has an algorithm that makes it where you're only studying what you need to be studying. So we'll mark that as easy. And this one here is the same question, but with the image. So here we go with the image. I like this because now I've looked at how I wrote it out, my notes to myself, how I wrote it, but I also get the visual perspective here, and I can see whatever is blue is going to be H.225 messaging, and whatever is red is going to be H.245 messaging. This is going to be the TCS terminal capability set, where right, you're going to have the capabilities exchange, master slave determination, and the OLC. And then after that, we go into actually sending media. Right, so Anki is a tool that I use leading up to studying for my exams. And then on top of that, I get to the test center a little bit early, just because I want to have room for error. I want to make sure that I'm there before I need to be there. And then while I sit in the parking lot or sit in the waiting room, I pull out my phone and I start going through my note cards. Right, so I get a little bit last minute studying in, and it's easy. It's right there on my phone. It's simple. I don't have to have a bunch of books or my computer or internet connectivity. I just need to have my phone right there in my pocket. Another very, very, very important thing I do is I schedule the exam before I feel ready. So I scheduled this exam maybe a month and a half ago, and I did that so that it would be on my calendar. Then I'd start feeling the pressure of, oh man, I have a set date. I'm not pushing this off. I have to make sure that I'm focused on this. I have to make sure that I'm putting in the work to be as ready for the exam as I can be. Right? Because if you don't schedule a date, you're just putting it off. It's going to happen. You will put it off. And each time that I fail my exam, whenever I've failed in the past, as soon as possible, I schedule the exam. Like that same day, I schedule my next attempt. Or the day after I failed, I'll schedule my next attempt. And if I have to wait 5 days, I try to schedule it exactly at my first, as soon as I'm eligible to take it again. So like for the CCIE, if it's 30 days or whatever, I would schedule it exactly at 30 days out if I could. And if I couldn't, maybe because I'll be out of town or whatever it may be, I schedule it as quickly as possible on that return to home, right? Because I know that if I don't schedule it, I'm going to be more likely to procrastinate. And if I do go in and I fail the exam, that's okay. No big deal. I actually tell a lot of people that I mentor when you should look at your first attempt or even your first 2 attempts or whatever as part of your study material. Get in there, feel what it's like, take a step, take a turn at bat, right? See what it's like to take a swing at the exam. Kind of get some of those, nerves, get rid of them, and also get a shot to see what the actual material is like on the exam. See what they're actually testing you on. Because, taking a look at those exam topics, it's all free game. 100%, that's all free game. It can be on there. But you never know. It might be not what you expect. So get in there, see what it looks like. And the last guy that I mentored on taking the exam, he followed that advice. He went in, he thought he was going to fail. He came out and he passed. So you might be pleasantly surprised. But that's about it for this video. That's a lot of the stuff that I do leading up to the exam. with some of the biggest items being the note cards, taking the exam at the same site each time if possible, taking the exam before you think you're ready, getting it scheduled, making sure you have an exam date on the calendar, and trying to make sure that your things are in order the day before the exam. You don't want to be driving to the exam and remember, oh, I forgot to pack an extra pair of contacts or whatever it may be that you would like to have. If there's anything that you do when preparing for the exams that I didn't mention, feel free to comment below and let everybody know. We should be sharing this stuff and helping people modify their strategies to taking exams so that hopefully they can find something that makes them more successful when they go in on game day.